Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. We are 6 days into 2022 and the first W for the CDL this year seems maybe to have arrived. The backlash from the CDL format that was announced quite a while ago now seems to have gotten through to them. Changes are supposedly being made over the coming weeks, but not everyone is happy still about the situation, and understandably so. Very much tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do. Tell this channel reach new people, and please do subscribe as well if you have not yet already. First of all, this from the Call of Duty League. CDL 2022 is officially here, they say, so maybe they'll start doing some more content on the YouTube side. That would certainly be a welcome change. Which two CDL teams are you excited to see duke it out, right? So, Dallas Empire versus OpTic in Los Angeles. Say the TacticalRab Academy. Things, it changed a lot since last year, obviously. But, maybe the CDL starting to get back into some more content stuff, which, as I say, would be a welcome change of what they've been up to lately. First of all, I wanted to just dive into this real quick, because, of course, we imagine Boston are up to something right now, doing some sort of confirmation of their roster relatively soon. Now, we talked about yesterday, a couple of days ago now, that, methods of saying that TJ was off to some sort of food truck festival. Turns out the food truck festival is more than likely a media day for the Boston guys. So, methods tweeted and then deleted this image you can see right here. So it looks like, again, there's obviously some sort of setup there going on to record something or other, doing like player walkouts, this type of stuff that I'm sure you guys are familiar with at this point. But, it seems like that might be what is going on here. This also, as Method says, to decimate, I would do anything for my city, with, him looking good. You can kind of look at the background right here. Looks like some sort of, warehouse type vibes where they might be doing some sort of recording. So seems like that might be what's going on. Not sure there's any food trucks here in the background. So maybe this whole food truck festival thing was rather a ruse. And when Crone tweets it out right here, Methods at what looks like some sort of photo shoot type film set type thing. And Boston announcement relatively soon about a food truck festival, he says in reply. So nothing going on right here. Not sure what you're on about, to be honest, Crone. It's very clearly a food truck festival. So seemingly we will get something around this relatively soon, hopefully over the coming days. This also, a couple of people noticed, it seems that they might have changed what's going on with their header in there. I'm pretty sure they didn't have a profile picture before a few days ago. Now they've got this question mark thing going on. It used to be just a black screen, and this is their header as well, but even though nothing really to be looked into it, unless you want to look into all the binary and figure out if this means anything. It probably doesn't, but Boston Breach, we believe that's going to be the name, probably announced over the coming days at this point, especially with TJ and Capsule having a good time here on the timeline between each other. Seems like that might be a duo here, at least on the SMG lines for this Boston team going forwards. The final confirmation, of course, we need to get before everything can get officially confirmed for the season, even though we can be relatively confident at this point what is going to be happening, at least they're on the roster front. So this comes out from Crone last night. A couple of weeks ago now, the CDL came up with their format for 2022, and people understandably were not happy with it, right? We saw this whole, with the majors, there's less majors than there were last year. That frustrated people. The opening event, there's been some talk about whether that's good or bad, should it be double elimination, all this type of stuff. But one of the main concerns was that the events, all the majors for the season, were going to be only 8 teams attending. So theoretically, teams could not even attend their own LAN events. Let's say Paris hosts a LAN, more than likely they're not going to be there, right? So it's kind of ridiculous, honestly. And also what we'll talk about here in just a second is how they were going to decide. Let's say a team was hosting an event, but then they weren't actually going to qualify for that event. Then how do you make that work from a competitive integrity standpoint? There was a lot of frustrations about that from I think the CDL owners, and understandably so. So for whatever reason, despite no one asking for it, 8 teams was going to be the standard for majors. And this was especially frustrating because the qualifications, I don't mind that idea in theory if the qualification matches make sense. Let's say there's a load of qualification matches for each major and every team plays every other team in the league. There's 11 matches, they're all on LAN, and that qualifies you for the major. Then okay, yeah, fair enough. But if it's just 5 matches, as it will be, and apparently 5 randomly seeded matches to determine who, effectively your opponents are determined before the season even begins, apparently, and you play those 5 matches online, and then those 5 online matches against randomly seeded opponents are going to determine if you qualify for the LAN event. It's like, okay, why do we need to do that, right? If you're going to have the format, then at least let all the teams go to LAN in the latter half of things. So, it seems like the backlash and the frustration from the community on this front has actually got the CDL to listen and change their mind. Not confirmed as of yet, but if Crone says it's more than likely going on, even if it doesn't come to reality. We hope it does, but they're at least very heavily considering it right now, and more than likely, if it's Crone firmed, it's going to happen over the coming days. So, this honestly is, it can't be a bad thing, right? Obviously, it's not a good thing in the sense that this should have been the standard anyway, but it just shows some willingness from the CDL to actually listen and do what they can with the resources they have, which might mean that further positive changes can come down the line. So, some people are spinning this on the negative, but it's nice to have some positives to at least discuss here on the channel. So, this is what Crone says. Honestly, really interesting stuff here in this article, about, the perspective of the CDL compared to what the players and the teams were talking about themselves. So this is what Chrome describes. The entire thing I'll leave for you guys a link down below. This is kind of a snippet. Less than a month ago, the CDL announced the format for the 2022 season. The league revealed that 4 different franchises would host 4 major tournaments, starting with OpTic Texas. Then it was like Toronto, New York, and Minnesota, I think, were the other rumored ones. But not sure Minnesota have actually got themselves a venue quite yet. So that was kind of the discussion at the time, why they deleted the tweet, which announced all the teams that were going to be hosting events. But of course, only 8 teams could qualify them, which is a bit of a surprise. Now, Chrome went on to explain at the end of the article that for the World Championship, still it's only going to be 8 teams, which I don't mind, right? The entire season is there to qualify for the World Championship. If you don't make it top 8, then you probably don't deserve to go to champs. I think that's probably fair enough. It also means there's more on the line, right, in terms of how things are going to go. And I think they said the format might just be a straight up double elimination bracket as opposed to the buys that we've seen in the last couple of years, which have obviously been pretty frustrating for those events. So don't really mind that so much. But I mean, for the majors, the bottom 4 teams were going to be excluded. Only 4 of them this season, right, compared to 5 last year, which obviously is a step back. But they do have other events, like there's this Pro-Am tournament. I think there's a couple of other things going on as well. But one minor detail that they didn't confirm to the public was that if the hosting franchise of a major tournament did not qualify for the event, they would play the 8th seeded team in a play-in style match for a chance to qualify for the event that they had been hosting, according to sources. So this is what Chrome said a couple of weeks ago now. Just so incredible, right? If you don't qualify for your own event, then you just get to play in a match against the 8th seeded team. And if you lose that, then you still don't qualify. But like, you know, it's just so ridiculous. Like the competitive integrity completely out the window. The poor 8th place team, if they're, you know, they did really well to qualify 8th, and then they're just forced to play a match for their life against a team that was hosting the event in the first place. Like, why not just avoid all this stuff and avoid all the issues and just say, okay, every team could go to the event, right? It makes much more sense. And I'm not really surprised that the franchise owners thought this is unfair and lacks competitive integrity. Let's say, as well, if you're one of these rosters that just got in as that 8th spot and you did really well to achieve that, and then all of a sudden OpTic didn't qualify somehow and they have to play you in a playoff and then you lose, and then you know, it's just ridiculous, frankly. So you know, of course they're trying to make these regular season matches matter, but at the same time, like, competitive integrity is obviously very important to the franchise ownership groups. So like, okay, hang on a second, why are you doing this to the CDL? And apparently this is something I'd heard as well. We'll have a look at it in this paragraph here, but it's believed one reason for initially deciding on having 8 teams at the major was due to viewership being low for the 9th to 12th seed matches. So I guess they looked at the viewership numbers and said, okay, when Paris plays London, the viewership's low, therefore we shouldn't care. Which, you know, okay, fair enough, but at the same time, it is a major event. You've got to build up to some things. The viewership isn't the be-all and end-all. It's about building an entire structure for the tournament and making the tournament as fair as possible, and also giving everyone a chance to win, realistically. Like, okay, yes, the lower seeded matches, the first matches of the tournament on a Friday might not be the best viewership, but it builds into the entire weekends. So I'm not really sure why that's, and it also depends where OpTic are playing. Like, it depends where OpTic are sitting as to where the viewership goes. So yeah, they're generally not going to be in 9th to 12th seeds, and that's kind of how things go there. Some interesting decisions certainly from them, especially because regardless of those numbers, the majority of franchise groups still wanted all 12 teams at each major from day one, but the league initially decided against it. This is kind of what I heard as well, that a lot of the teams actually, they had a vote on this as to whether they wanted to have 12 teams at the major or go to this 8-team situation that the CDL has obviously tried to do and has now reverted on due to the backlash. And it was almost a unanimous decision from the team and the franchise owners that they wanted 12 teams to be at all majors. The CDL anyway just decided to go with 8. So I don't understand what's happening there. Thankfully, they reverted it. And maybe they'll understand into the future here that actually maybe listening to the franchise owners and the community is a pretty good idea. We might know what we're talking about on this stuff, given that we've honestly been, we're looking at this league and involved in this league for probably a fair bit longer than some of these CDL guys have, quite honestly. So anyway, some mixed responses really, because Center says where he drops the W, and of course, understandably so, it is at least a positive thing at the end of the day. Now, of course, look, you can very well understand, and it is very true, that this should have been the case anyways. Kevy Skill says, one problem down at 99 to go, but of course, you've got to start somewhere, I suppose, in getting this ship righted. But again, Parasite comes up with kind of the alternate opinion, which says, look, stop giving them props for the bare minimum, right? This is obviously something we'd expect to be the case anyway. It gets kind of frustrating, kind of celebrating things that should be the case as standard, right? This should have been the case anyway. There should be 12 teams in the league anyway, so like, why do we have to celebrate something that should be the case as standard? And that's been the case for the last couple of years. At least, well, not really in Modern Warfare. There was only 8 teams there, but that was a shambles in and of itself, especially when things went online. But I think some of the negativity is understandable. As Parasite says, not only the bare minimum, this is what Alex says in reply, but corrections after public outrage based on their initial decision. They are listening, says Parasite in the replies. So obviously at the end of the day, this stuff should have happened sooner. It should have been here as standard. But still, we've got to take W's where we can find them nowadays. I don't think the endless negativity is really helping anyone. And look, at the end of the day, if the CDL are going to listen to something like this, they've obviously heard the outrage from the community, the frustration from the pros, and the backlash from the ownership groups, and they've made a decision, right? And they're seemingly going to revert things to how they were. were and how they should be. Which, you know, look, it might not be the biggest thing ever, but it sets the potential precedent that in the future, if similar things happen to this, that they actually can and have the power to change. And maybe, you know, there's a format question that comes up the later part of the season. The CDL might actually listen to the community and change things as a result of that. Just if, you know, if they can admit their own mistakes and change things like this for the benefit of the community and the pros and the teams, then, you know, that's got to be a good thing at the end of the day, right? So we can take the W's where we can possibly find them right now. And of course, there are some negatives still going on right now. As Crow points out, it's been over 2 months since Vanguard released. We've heard nothing about ranked play since October. So of course, that's another thing right now. But I mean, still, we kind of heard it was going to be happening in the middle of season 2 or whatever it's going to be called. So probably February sometime, we would at least hope, similar to what it was last year. With any luck, that will well be the case. Just a couple of things to mention real quick, because there was a nice clip that came up from Scump last night, and Dashy reacted to it. I thought this was kind of funny, really, because Dashy was at an NBA game last night. Runs into Draymond Green, and Dashy's a big basketball fan, so I thought this was pretty cool. And well, there was also this clip that came up from Scump I might share for you guys at the end of this video, or maybe the video later today. Like, you know, some of this stuff in Warzone the Scump's putting off is pretty absurd. This also, every year of Scump's career, Lima makes a set of cards for really last night. Thought these were kind of incredible, frankly. Like, all the teams he's been on throughout the years, of course, understandably, a lot of green in here, right, to the OpTic days. Of course, so this is the Ghost days when he was on Envoy for a couple of weeks at the start of that year. I'm pretty sure it was January the 7th or something, so tomorrow, like, 8 years ago now, that he left OpTic for, like, 2 weeks or whatever to go to Envy, and then, of course, made the return, and then since then, things only got bigger and better for Scump eventually winning the World Championship. But yeah, kind of crazy, all these statistics that Lima puts on these cards, and just this one as well to mention real quick for you guys. Thought this is kind of funny, because yesterday Valorant added this new agent which can slide cancel, and a lot of Call of Duty pros like, okay, it's the beginning of the end for Valorant, but again, now Shots are going to be a world champion in 3 esports, get him over there, maybe maybe this will accelerate Dashy's move over to that game, to be honest, given he's been playing a lot of Valorant, and maybe he'll have a thing or two to teach some of these guys, given his experience in Call of Duty the last couple of years. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button, tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, others like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.